just fix money and you fix the world. It honestly is that simple. And yes, we are financially incentivized to be saying this now because we clearly bought Bitcoin way before you have, because I'm talking to you now and you're still saying no, so I'm pretty sure you don't have any. And clearly we've had it for a while, but we're just going to continue to be right. And we're going to keep saying these memes to you, and you're just going to continue to be wrong and find us annoying until you become one of us. And now you can be annoying and right too. Have fun staying poor.
Boom, we are back. That's right. Bullish Bitcoin banter and bullshit brought to you by Mr. All In, aka the $1 Trillion Man, myself, So Never Look, aka the Excellence of Execution. And you will realize, regular viewers and listeners, that we have no Mrs. No Show. No surprise there. But equally, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, is coming in a close second. Again, not with us. I'm going to start calling him Sick Note. What about you?
Yeah, Sick Note would be a good name. Yeah, he's just struggling from actually doing a real job, isn't he? From 10 job that he's done for years, just working at home, pretending he's busy. Bless him.
It's actually, but we think that he might not have a job soon and just be full-time BJs.
Yeah, I think he's been a bit worn out from Gay Pride Month, hasn't he?
Yes, this was the one.
It's a busy month for him.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise on 1st of July he just needs to rest to his holes.
I'm sure there'll be a retaliation and a retort, but for now, you rest easy. Yeah.
Rest easy.
Rest easy.
Thoughtful boy.
You matter.
There's bigger things happening anyway, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah.
World
War III is upon us, literally.
Well, at least it looked like it, didn't it? It looked like it this time last week. Obviously, we didn't do a pod last week, but I think it's this time last week pretty much that I think America, in some part, were dropping bombs on Iran. And it was, is Iran going to respond? The stock market dumped. To be fair, I don't think Bitcoin massively reacted, really.
No, it didn't. And I was surprised. Again, I was surprised, thinking there's no fluctuation here. Nothing. No money going out, no money going in, just steady into the left.
I think we did dip under 100K in
dollars,
But we're only at 105 now, and I think we went to, I don't know, was it 95, which I guess is a 10% dip. But come on, if World War III is going to kick off, you'd think you get at least a 20, 30, 40% dip there, right? It's all kind of all that scared money runs and just sell everything, right? Just who knows what people are doing when they sell? Like, are you just going to convert to cash and leave it in a bank account? What you think your government's going to leave that there if World War III is kicking off and they need more money for bombs? They're taking it, bro. But I guess you get out of markets, don't you? You try and escape to cash, so you don't ride things down to zero. And there's plenty of people in Bitcoin that think it's just an investment, not almost. It's actually your safety net and your plan B if World War III kicks off, because very likely you're going to hit most of the default currencies are going to hit hyperinflation as that every country just scrambles to wipe out the other. So to a certain extent, money will be the least of your worries. It probably will be surviving. But if you do survive it and you come out the other side, Bitcoin is going to be the dominant currency. But we didn't really see anything. But the only reason we're really mentioning this anyway is the fact that Iran has been for a while now been known as quite a large miner of Bitcoin. And when a load of American bombs landed on Iran, in the days that followed, we noticed quite a dip in the hash rate of the Bitcoin. So it dipped around 7.5%. And it looks like very much that the Americans hit their mining facility, or at
Mm.
least part of it. So they felt like they were going after the nuclear targets, but who knows? It's whether they put their Bitcoin miners near the nuclear targets, or it just looked like a nuclear facility and it wasn't. It was a Bitcoin mining facility. Um, who knows? There's some people been discussing it, going, "Oh, there's no evidence yet." Da, da, da. But then, the Bitcoin blocks took an additional 3 minutes. On average, it was 13 minutes since the strike. Obviously, before it's normally 10. And then this is on June 24th, so at 1st of July today.
Yeah.
And the difficulty adjustment did happen. So obviously the difficulty adjustment is another genius thing from Satoshi, that he wants the blocks to come out roughly every 10 minutes out of the blockchain. But if there's more people mining, then the blocks come out faster. If there's less people mining, the blocks come out slower. So it's constantly adjusting the difficulty of the number that needs to be guessed changes based on how many miners are in the network at any one time. So I think it was literally today there was a difficulty adjustment scheduled, and they happen. God, I need to Google this, but I think it's roughly weekly.
Mm.
The difficulty adjustment can be made, and the network just does it automatically based on how many miners are accessing the network. And we did drop the difficulty adjustment by 7.5%. So it's 7.5% easier to find a block on Bitcoin now, seemingly because that was Iran's contribution.
Well, doesn't it make it very interesting as well that, we're in a war, or there's a war going on, and there's a strategic play for the Bitcoin mines, but yet this is still magic internet money?
Yeah, I don't know whether they purposely hit it. It would be
Mm.
crazy. I agree. It would be
Yeah,
nuts if the first attack on Iran to hurt them is to go after Bitcoin mining.
yeah,
That obviously they would never admit it if that was the case, right? Because the price of
correct,
Bitcoin goes to 10 million tomorrow.
correct. This is what, yeah,
Because that's the way you destabilize Iran, is not to
yeah,
go after schools, hospitals, governments, military bases, nukes. No. It's their Bitcoin mining we want to destroy, because that's the threat. That would be nuts, right?
yeah.
I I would love to believe that, but my analysis of it would roughly be it was collateral damage. I think they blew up
Mm.
a lot of shit, and there's happened to be a couple of warehouses that were there, probably on some military base somewhere, that got hit, that happened to have their Bitcoin mining in it. But I don't think I wouldn't have thought that America targeted that specifically. I'd imagine they were going after their military base, because obviously
I'm
it's
just,
not an Iranian companies or anything that are mining Bitcoin. It's the Iranian government that have come
yeah,
out to say they were mining Bitcoin. So we know they are, and it would make sense that if they are doing that, it's going to be on some type of secure base. So it likely would be a military type base. If you're going to invest millions and millions of pounds in miners, have it all set up, you don't
correct.
want that in a normal government building, right? Where there's a load of people just walking in and out, and you want it in a secure setting. So you probably would put it on a military base. Using
So
old.
it's just
Yeah,
by coincidence. Oh, by the way, yeah, we've bombed this, and we've also taken your Bitcoin down as well.
yeah.
But
They probably didn't even know they'd done it, right? It's probably just an old.
I was gonna say, do you think that they knew like this is going to be part of the damage,
Who
just a
knows?
byproduct?
It'd be, again, if they did, and that was one of the upsides, nuts,
I'm clutching at straws. I know
crazy,
to think like my mind's racing to
crazy.
say,
Yeah, it
hey,
might. Yeah, there's probably a priority order of things they were going after, like
yeah,
nukes is number one, and then
yeah.
planes and guns and weapons, and then maybe Bitcoin's in there as well. Maybe it would be
Mm,
like, well, yeah, let's take their Bitcoin out. That could fund um a lot of stuff in the future, for Iran. So let's just wipe that out. But
because we've
yeah, one of
always
the things
talked about
actually, I just
these.
thought. Oh, go on.
Yeah, yeah, we've always thought of these. I do see it based on the Ray Dalio book of Changing World Order of these what we call third world countries, or these countries which are obviously not like the US. There's going to be a shift in power, and the only way that you have that shift in power is through energy and the likes of having Bitcoin, and that's why these countries are doing it essentially, or it's a play, as well as obviously the coalition of the BRICS, etc. But it would be mad to think, okay, yeah, this is how we're going to take them out.
Yeah. And it's another thing just occurred to me then as well that it could actually have made Bitcoin more scarce. Obviously, there's 21 million
Mm,
Bitcoin, but who knows how many Bitcoin Iran had, and who knows how many Bitcoin were on those devices that may have had backups, but I'd imagine the backups are probably obliterated as well, or the
yeah,
people that knew how to run the backups got
yes,
obliterated. So, in some
yeah,
shape or form, I wouldn't be surprised if there's thousands of Bitcoin in some shape or form that are now hodled
that's a
forever.
really good. Yeah,
If they got
yeah,
mined by Iran, they were probably going to hodl it anyway, but use it in the next 10, 20, 30 years to fund their country. They're never they're never going to get sold. You fast forward 100 years and there's going to be maybe 10,000 Bitcoin or something, maybe way more, who knows,
mm,
that was on that site that got blown to smithereens. And if they didn't make any backups to their seed phrases off site, which
yeah,
if you are doing that type of thing, you should do. You should have physical. Obviously, especially if it's on a military base, it's literally a target, right? So if
yeah,
you're gonna mine it here, make sure you transport and spread the keys over different geolocations. But if they didn't, then there could be thousands, if not tens of thousands of Bitcoin that will never move, which means hold they're forced hodlers. They're not
yeah.
ever going to be sell pressure.
Let's see. Let's see. It'd be a good one to watch, actually. If I mean, I also thought about, and this is slightly away from Bitcoin, but the US again are super stretching themselves because they're already in a war with Ukraine. It's like it's in coinciding with the Ukraine and Russia. And then you've got Iran and Israel. And then you've also got the potential of China versus Taiwan as well. And that's, you've got three wars that you've got going on. Your country is equally going to shit at the same time. Like, that's how the world leading number one superpower just dies because it overexpands itself.
Yeah, it could
And
well be. They
yeah,
well, they're in the death spiral, aren't they? We've
yeah,
seen the amount of debt that they're printing, and they're desperate. So
yeah,
what do people do when they're desperate? They grab what everyone else has got. So they're grabbing Ukraine's resources. They want to grab Russia's. They want to grab Iran's. So they have to back themselves to basically to steal the natural resources and
yeah.
impoverish those countries. Basically flatten them to dust, and that keeps your country going for a bit longer. I think that's the plan, but it can backfire, right? Yeah, because if you end up in another 20-year never-ending war and you don't get the resources, then that could be the end of them. Yeah, but
Mm,
we know how this works. Like we just said before we came on, a lot of this is WWE, right? Who the good guy is, who's the heel today, who's the hero, who's going to win the belt today. Oh, they lose it in dramatic form like next week, and then the bad guy gets it. And oh no, this is a travesty. That how can we continue? But then bang, out of the here he comes. He comes walking down the steps and he hits him with a chair. And oh, we've got it back. And yes, we're in a much bigger and complicated way. that's how I see the wars that we get told are real, right? It all just seems to play out, and the same guy wins in the end, right? There's a period where the heel looks like they're going to win and
Yeah,
overthrow everything, and the
yeah,
world order is just over, but it always ends up coming back to, good old America saved the day, or the EU came in with some regulation and saved the day,
the classic two count. It's only a two. It's
Yeah.
not a three count. It's a two count.
Yeah. Just
Just
raise our shoulder at the last
all
minute.
of a sudden, yeah.
It's like, yeah, we never properly lose.
I think we're gonna win it. It's or if it was Money in the Bank, they're grabbing that briefcase, they're touching it, but they're not bringing it down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's why, like, I mean, it's obviously it's good to like play a cursory look at it. 'Cause it's just the only reason I even cursory look at it is just to go, am I at risk of having a bomb dropped on my head? That's literally the main reason I look at it. But by and large, like picking sides and all that stuff, like I just don't care. It's just
yeah,
it just the more you get muddled into it, the more you end up just fighting normal people that have the opposing view to you. And the second you pick a side, you automatically get called a Nazi by somebody.
yeah.
Like both sides call each other Nazis. You're like, okay, so this is just kind of pointless. How about we all just stop dropping bombs on each other? And even that is, you're a Nazi because they dropped a bomb on us first. Oh my God. And now I feel like I'm mediating an argument between my 2-year-old and my 1-year-old, just like,
Yeah,
what's going on here? Like, who did it?
yeah.
Both of you stop and play nicely. And you know, just doing that at a country level, and
It's amazing though, isn't it? Because as you get older and more reflective, it's always going on. Like politics is the drama. There's always something. There's always someone that doesn't like someone trying to invade another. And yes, whilst there's been no world war, there's still always been some form of conflict that is ongoing.
yeah. I
There's
actually
never,
I was watching a
yeah.
great video actually. There's a guy, I think he's like, in this video is from the 50s or 60s, and he's basically explaining why there's always world wars now.
Mm,
The reason for world wars is because the world got so connected so easily that people started realizing that their local little country governments that emptied the bins and did menial tasks for them, they were starting to outgrow them because
mm,
travel was easier and people were more connected, understood more about the global kind of different societies and different communities, and just so they basically just at all times there was some form of global war happening to give government a reason to exist.
yeah.
To go, if you didn't have a government, these big bad evil countries, Russia bad, Iran bad, China bad. If you defunded your government and therefore defunded your military, yeah, you can have your little pea shooters that you protect your land with from other people that may want to steal your land, just other people like you. That's fine. But can you stop the China military coming through and stealing everything you've got? No, you can't.
Yeah.
That's why we exist. We protect you from that. And that's why we take half of all your money, if not more like 80% of your money. Because we are keeping you basically alive. We're keeping you safe. And you went the global conflicts will never stop for as long as government exists, because they become irrelevant if they don't exist.
Yeah.
And it's just I'd love to think that like we don't kill millions of people on a yearly basis just to give governments a reason to exist, but you look at it and go, we probably do, and it's pretty disgusting. And yet another reason why we Bitcoin, right? And it's fucking fix the money, fix the world. These wars wouldn't be funded. You talked about America, like they could bankrupt themselves. Yeah, they could bankrupt themselves even on a fiat standard, but on a Bitcoin standard, they couldn't even enter one of these wars.
Yeah.
But they can't just print more Bitcoin. they'd actually spend it, and then they'd be like, "Oh shit, we haven't got any money for our schools or for our hospitals or for our roads." And you're like, "Well, yeah, you spent it all on bullets and missiles and planes, and
Yeah.
so you'd actually have to be much more measured." And again, then suddenly you start getting governments acting more like a business, which is, can we afford to do this thing?
Mm.
So even think about that right now. It's
Yeah.
conflicts, press the money printer, off they go. And then it doesn't matter what inflation happens, what taxes have to go up. Their excuse is we have to fight the big bad enemy over here. So do you all want to be locked up in cages, or do you just like to pay double for your shopping? Yeah. And by the way, you need to say thank you to me now. Say thank you for me increasing your cost of living by double. Say thank you, because if it wasn't for me, the big bad Russians would be running around now, and you'd be enslaved to the Russians. And you go, all right. And if you believe the narrative that they're saying, that's what we're supposed to believe, right? Where Russia are meant to go into Ukraine, they're going to keep going through Europe and take over the world, right? They were going to part of Putin's big global expansion plan. So
that was the narrative.
I'm supposed to believe that, and I just go, I fundamentally fucking don't, mate. I just don't. I don't think any of that's true. But what I do believe is true is I now pay double for my groceries. So I got that bit. I'm not sure threat was as real as they posed. Anyway, let's move on from one clown to the next clown. So we've got Trump up here now.
Yeah.
Not talking about World War III, but actually talking about Bitcoin. So yeah,
okay, it's 1 minute 25.
Yeah. Should I play it? I probably should, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Let's play it. It's a short clip.
Crypto bills pass in the next few months?
Well, it's a very funny thing, crypto. So I became a fan of crypto, and to me, it's an industry. I view it as an industry, and I'm president. And if we didn't have it, China would, or somebody else would, but most likely China. China would love to. And we've dominated that industry. It's a big industry, by the way. In fact, when the stock market went down recently, crypto and Bitcoin and all of that went down much less than anybody else as a group. And we've created a very powerful industry, and that's much more important than anything that we invest in. We invest in it, but really that was an industry that wasn't doing particularly well. I got involved with it a couple of years ago, and before the second term. I got involved before I decided to run. I only decided to run because I saw what was happening, and Biden was incompetent, and the administration was crooked and incompetent. And I was in Bitcoin then, not knowing if I was going to do it a third time. So it's become amazing. I mean, it's the jobs that it produces. And I notice more and more you pay in Bitcoin. I mean, people are saying it takes a lot of pressure off the dollar. And it's a great thing for our country. So I don't care about investing. You know, I have I have kids, and they invest in different things. They do believe in it. But I'm president, and what I did do there is build an industry that's very important. And, you know, if we didn't have it, China would. Okay.
Sir, Mr. President.
So
Yeah.
it's Trump probably appealing to the crowd again a little bit. Clearly the question was asked around Bitcoin, but his answers, again, are relatively positive. I don't know, you know, the quote that did stand out, which obviously is being quoted here, is that Bitcoin takes a lot of pressure off the dollar and it's a great thing for our country. I'm not really sure what he meant by that, because it doesn't take any pressure off the dollar, it puts pressure on.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what I wanted to question as well. Like, what am I missing? Because, you know, ultimately, if more people move to Bitcoin, the dollar becomes worth less, as it already is becoming worth less. The, you know, deficit continues to increase, and people click on to the fact that it's just a Ponzi scheme. Well, not a Ponzi scheme, but, you know, it's just a joke.
Do you know what? I've actually just realized what it is. It's because of all the paper Bitcoin that's been created via the ETFs and these Bitcoin treasury companies. So essentially, because they're not buying Bitcoin, are they? A lot of these. You know they're not. You know,
The needle's not moved, so the answer looks like no. You're right.
the inflows are so huge that there's no way they're actually buying real Bitcoin. They're just buying Bitcoin on a computer, and they're just going, yeah, you have 1,000 Bitcoin in that account. Now, did you actually buy it? Did it just say it? You know? So I'd imagine that Trump probably doesn't really get it, but at the moment, the fact that there's so much money going into the ETFs, so much money going to the Bitcoin treasury companies, that's pumping stocks, it's pumping ETFs. BlackRock obviously benefits. So therefore, I'm sure when he gets some BlackRock report at some point or whatever they get, they're probably like, yeah, Bitcoin had a nice little uptick on our performance this year, because the Bitcoin ETF is the best performing ETF of all time. You know, this isn't just a Bitcoin ETF that, you know, we're excited about. Anybody that is anybody in the financial world, this is the ETF that everyone got into. The best performing asset, obviously, of the last 15 years, and the best performing ETF of all time. So it does flood a lot of money basically into the fiat landscape, which is ETFs and shares. Because obviously that is still captured in dollars, right? So whether it's Bitcoin backing it or not, that's money captured there that is not custodianed with the individual, it's custodianed with BlackRock, which clearly have a unwritten agreement with the US government that these funds are interchangeable with yourselves. You know, of course, you know, we are a government company, we just don't say we are. We pretend to be private and independent, but clearly, if anything, I think BlackRock is, you know, technically sits above the US government, and the US government is a plaything of BlackRock. But still, it's I guess maybe that's the angle he's coming at it from, because obviously he only skim reads a lot of these things, doesn't he? These things that he gets thrown across his desk, and maybe one of the bullet points just went, oh yeah, X amount of hundreds of billions have been pumped into BlackRock and the stock market via Bitcoin assets, and you've gone, oh, that's good, that's contributed to, you know, we're talking like, you know, again just yesterday that the stock market's up 100% over the last 5 years. A lot of it's, you know, since this World War III thing kicked off, the S&P 500 is now at all-time highs. Bitcoin probably is contributing a little bit to that via the ETFs. Maybe that's what Trump's alluding to. He definitely doesn't mean what we're saying, which is, you know, we have an alternative global currency from the dollar, and, you know, we're going to eat the dollar bit by bit until it hyperinflates and Bitcoin becomes a standard. He definitely is not on that wavelength.
No.
And if he was, he would not be talking positively about Bitcoin as the president of the United States.
What's next on our agenda?
So something, what's his name? Dr. with 10%.
Inflation Weekly.
Inflation Weekly, yeah.
Yeah.
This is epic, by the way. So
I didn't get to read this actually, so I'm seeing it for the first time.
Okay, right, yeah. So it's a new one. I think I put it on today.
Yeah.
So basically there's a guy saying the Bank of England literally published a research paper in 2014 describing how banks create deposits out of thin air when they loan money, and how central bank modulate this supply of credit and therefore money via interest rates. So here's the article, which is from 2014, and it basically explains how the majority of money in the modern economy is created by commercial banks making loans. Money creation in practice differs from some popular misconceptions. Banks do not act simply as intermediaries, lending out deposits that savers place with them, and nor do they multiply up central bank money to create new loans and deposits. The amount of money created in the economy ultimately depends on the monetary policy of the central bank. In normal times, this is carried out by selling interest rates. The central bank can also affect the amount of money directly through purchasing assets and quantitative easing. But here it is, right? Here it is in bold. Whenever a bank makes a loan, it simultaneously creates a matching deposit in the borrower's bank account, thereby creating new money.
Right.
That's the mic drop, right? Because I'll just share my screen again. This all came from, this is why I love Bitcoiners, right? This guy was having an argument with one of his friends going, the way banks create money is every time they loan out money, they don't actually take money from their bank account and give it to you. They just create money in your bank account out of thin air. Their balance never changes. They just go, oh, you want 10 grand? There's 10 grand, boom. Well, hold on, like where was that 10 grand before? It was nowhere. They just created it and put it in your account. And now you have to pay them back with real hard-earned money. They didn't have to work at all for their money. And not only do they want their 10 grand back, they probably want 15. Like, we gave you 10 grand. It's like, well, technically you did, but it wasn't yours. Like, technically it was a little bit mine because I contributed to inflation, which hurts me. So it's a very weird situation, right? Where so this guy was arguing with his mate about how to banks create money. He asked Grok, and it told him exactly this, which a loan becomes a deposit and it expands the total money supply. Every single loan a bank ever gives out expands the monetary supply. And he just gets fobbed off going, oh, you just believe a load of conspiracy stuff online. Which is why someone's then gone, right, okay, if you don't believe Grok, which is clearly, it had a look at, I think, one of the references to where Grok had got that information from. And it turned out to be this Bank of England link. And just in case people don't believe that the screenshot is real, here it is on the Bank of England.co.uk quarterly bulletin to 2014 money creation in the modern economy. Wow. Someone actually stupidly wrote this down so all us plebs could see it.
Wow.
And here it is. It's right here. It's a full PDF. Goes on all about.
It's actually incredible that someone's wrote that, left it on there as part of the bank, and
I love the quantitative easing is in these quotes. You know, like, you know that bullshit we tell the public to sound all mystifying and let's sit down, love. You don't understand this. You know, you don't understand quantitative easing. It's just a complicated way of saying they print money out of thin air because everybody gets that, which is why they don't say it. They say it's quantitative easing, but they even put that in quotes to go, oh, you know that bullshit term, just in case. You know, I know we tell the idiots this, but we better leave it in here for completeness. But they don't mention it properly because when they're describing how they do things, it's like, it's just here. They create new money by just matching the deposit into the borrower's account. That's it. And it's nuts. This is, you know, it's been sat there for 11 years, this little PDF, and everyone's been ignoring it. But, you know, thanks to AI, you ask AI these questions, it goes to Bank of England, searches all this stuff, finds the answer in 30 seconds, gives you the answer, and you go, Grok, where did you get that info from? PDF from 11 years ago, mate. Bank of England said it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Grok. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. AI. That would have taken me years to find this. And you found it in seconds. So
yeah, the fact that it's still around and available 11 years later, obviously, it's crazy.
It is.
Just looking at and even with the diagrams as well.
Yeah, it's actually a really good paper that describes how central banks create money in a fiat landscape. And if more people understood this and knew it, their confidence in banks and money would just be shattered, right?
Yeah. I mean, 25 pages in total with the references, 26, 27, but yeah, it's definitely worth a read. And as in the absence of Dr. Evil 10%, he would always say, you don't know nothing about money. Like, you don't understand money first. Actually, tell a lie, it's just the page cutouts, isn't it? So it's just the numbers of the pages. It's not actually 25. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it's not that long actually. It's about less than 10 slides. It's just the page numbers from probably the bigger article.
Oh, right. I see.
Do you see what I mean? Like, I think it just starts at number 14. It starts on page 14, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It starts on 14. Yeah. And then, yeah. So it's 14 pages long, but is, the last 2 pages are just references.
yeah,
So it's 12 pages long. Yeah. But yeah, I think what it is, yeah, it's a snapshot. And for whatever reason, this bit has been
it's the money.
separated, but it's part of a much, much bigger document.
Yeah,
Whatever reason, we can link just to this chapter, these like 10 or so pages. And
it's perfect.
yeah, it's very, very interesting. But again, I still remember I tell my parents and all the boomers and just about everybody because it still makes me laugh when you see people debating about government spending and stuff, and they go, "It's our money they're spending. It's all the tax revenues." If you look at the percentage of tax revenues against money printing, it's night and day. The bulk of what the government spends is not tax revenues; it's printed money. Tax revenues, I mean, no, it's about 20%, depending on which jurisdiction you're in. But I think on average, it's around that. The majority of the money that they use to fund the public services gets printed out of thin air, which is why it keeps getting more and more every single year, and they can't control it because inflation happens to them as well. So the thing that cost them, say, 100 billion to run this year, cost them 110 billion next year, and 125 million the year after that, then 150 billion. So they have to keep printing more to keep the same things running. So that's why it's a Ponzi scheme, right? And eventually it hits hyperinflation and just explodes because you can't keep 10% growth forever because you end up at infinity quite quickly, and therefore your money's hit infinity, which means it's worthless.
I wonder if this document here from the Bank of England is the equivalent to the white paper, in terms of orange pilling people, because people are like, oh, Bitcoin, no, but okay, so you believe in money. Cool. Okay, yeah, because Bitcoin's bad. Take the time to read this 12-page article then, and then come back to me about why you put your trust in this that can just be miraculously created out of thin air over something that is the hardest asset known. And then let's have a debate after it. You've got to obviously get the person it's got to be to the right person. There's different horses for courses, but this again is probably one of those things that's just super up there for someone that wants to argue against the fact that Bitcoin is no good.
Yeah, it's definitely a good link to keep in your arsenal for when you're because the thing is, it's like we always say, isn't it? You need to understand money before you can understand Bitcoin. Otherwise, your foundational knowledge isn't good enough to be able to know why Bitcoin is good because you don't know what makes good money. And to begin with, you need to just understand what money is and what the current money we're using, what are its core characteristics. And a huge part of that characteristics is, well, how is it created?
Yeah.
And why? Because it's all shrouded in mystery, isn't it? It's quantitative easing, it's inflation, it's stimulating the economy, it's all these kind of buzzwords. And when you really remove them all, you get to little PDFs like this that go, well, here's one instance. Like the central bank isn't the only place that inflation happens, right? The government do just print money out of thin air and then just pay their public services and fund wars from it. But this is how the central banks do it as well. They just every time someone comes for a loan, they don't ask anybody for the money. They don't take it out of their personal war chest. They just create the money out of thin air and it appears in someone's bank account. Therefore, there is now 10,000 more pounds in circulation than there was 20 minutes ago because now I have them from Barclays or wherever. And it's nuts. So it's a great link to give because obviously there's a million articles that are being written by Bitcoiners that talk about all this stuff. But you can just say, oh, it's conspiracy theory. I haven't got time to fact check this, but it's clearly bollocks. You're clearly running with something. But this link goes directly to the Bank of England, our version of the Fed. So you can't get a more credible source to talk about how banks create money. And there they are, in plain English, no buzzwords. We just print it out of thin air. So yeah, it could well be a good article. But I think it's one of them where you need to be in the conversation and then have hit a sticking point around what causes inflation.
Yes.
If they're stuck in quantitative easing, stimulating economies, that world, then you can just pull this one out and go, well, have a read of this PDF. It's 10 pages long. And actually just read page 1.
Yeah.
They explain how they print money. Now what do you think? And you probably just get crickets and you're like, oh, you've cherry picked the one PDF. There's always a comeback, isn't there?
There is always a comeback. Yeah,
Because I'm sure that there are dozens and dozens of Bank of England articles or spokespeople for the Bank of England saying the exact opposite to that, which would be no, it's a very complicated process of balancing all the
for hundreds of years.
Economy.
Yeah.
And they would just fill the buzzwords back in, and you go, so you haven't answered the question.
Yeah.
You've just explained it in a very convoluted, kind of pseudo intellectual way to remove all the meaning so the plebs don't get what you're saying, because and that is purposeful. You don't want us to get what you mean, because if we did, we'd just be back at the same conclusion of, oh, it just comes out of thin air. That's not good.
Yeah.
But of course, we move on to one set of scammers onto some more scammers. So we've got Bitcoin treasury companies now. This is a little spicy one. So before we start this one, this is David Bailey, who is the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Udi here. He used to be one of the OG Bitcoiners, but the last 5 years or so turned complete scammer, shitcoiner. I have no idea who this lad is. But
so once again, same path as before, as we've seen. It just must be a human trait.
It's greed, yeah. It's greed.
Greed. Yeah, greed.
Greed. Yeah. Because there's certain people that I think that were in Bitcoin a long time and then just saw a lot of people coming in new and getting very, very rich off shitcoins. And they just get jealous and go, what the hell? I've been here for ages, I'm grinding and
can't beat them, join them.
You just go, yeah, let's just jump over the fence and pretend that these things make sense. And then if you've got a following, and Udi did have a following, quite a big one in Bitcoin, just pivot it to shitcoins, and they just then you're basically the only adult in the room playing with a load of children, so they're quite easy to scam. You go, well, why shouldn't I scam these guys for some money? They're gonna spend it and get wrecked anyway. It might as well be my project that they get wrecked on, and where I benefit. And clearly, it's obviously not why we're Bitcoin. We actively despise this type of stuff. It's just a worse form of fiat. But what they're discussing here is David Bailey talking about Bitcoin Magazine's little exploration into Bitcoin treasury companies, and he says he's invested in 12 of them. Actually, what I'll do, I'll play the video. So there he is, basically explaining that they've invested $1 million and turned it into 100 million, fully expect to make billions in the end. And their overall strategy is just to invest in all these Bitcoin treasury companies, ideally before they even go public, get right in on the ground floor. And when all the FOMO comes and the shares pump, there's just easy money.
Mm.
This is the type of signal that is very, very dangerous for Bitcoin treasury companies, right? When anything becomes a dead cert,
Yeah.
it's a matter of time till it isn't anymore. These kind of gravy trains do not continue. It's what happened to shitcoins and freaking ICOs and NFTs and all the nonsense that's come before. The first 10 of them or whatever, everything pumps, right? Because it's limited. There's a whole pent-up demand of people wanting to get additional gains over and above what Bitcoin can do. This new thing comes out, it's new and shiny. So there's a load of people that just want to get in it on the ground floor, and then, and obviously eventually the wheels fall off. Because
I'm just looking at the Smarter Web company that I mentioned. I know we didn't record last week, but it went up to £6.16 from like where it was at the beginning of June of 85 pence. So
next.
Yeah, cheeky 7x roughly. It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's literally what David Bailey explains, that his worst performing investment is 2x, but they pretty much average between a 10 and 100x at the moment, and that's just in a couple of months. So that isn't sustainable, right? Clearly, it's just as we saw on Coinbase. Back in the day, they only had a couple of coins listed on there.
Yeah.
And every time they listed them,
and gave coins away.
Yeah. Yeah. But every time when I was first on there, I literally think there was a 2 or 3. I think there was three coins. I think it was Bitcoin, Litecoin.
Yeah, that's right.
And Ethereum.
Yeah.
So obviously people went on there to buy Bitcoin, but then Litecoin, Ethereum looked cheaper because of the unit.
Yeah, of course.
Even though there was many, many more of them, and the market caps weren't as dissimilar as the price looks. Clearly, people.
It was a no-brainer as well. So I'll go with that, and then I'll get a little bit of that too. And
yeah. And then there's always rumors that Coinbase are going to add another coin, and then suddenly when they went to 4 coins, that coin went to the fucking moon, didn't it? Because of course it appears one day, and all those Coinbase users log in, see another coin, and they all smash buy. I'll have 10 quid's worth of that, bam, bam, and so there'll always be like a big pump every time a coin got listed on Coinbase. It'd probably double in the next 24 hours. But eventually, there were so many shit coins listed on there that nothing happened. Then once they got to like 50 shit coins,
and people got wise to the strategy of new coin pump, new coin pump,
and that was a very good strategy. If you had insider info, Coinbase was about to list that coin, buy it before they do, and then once they do, ride up the pump for the first couple of hours, then dump it, and dump it on all those retail idiots that that only know once it hits Coinbase because you were buying off a different exchange earlier. It's the same. It's going to be the same thing with this Bitcoin treasury thing, because it has to be the first 12. Fine, they all pump, but by the time you get to the 112. How much capital is there in the world to just be everyone pumping money into Bitcoin treasury companies? It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
And the fact that these smug pricks are there laughing about it on some Zoom call, I just go, not only do I fucking detest everybody talking on this show, it's just when scammers make money this easy, it has an end life. It has to, because scamming typically is quite difficult. You have to kind of grind and work pretty hard to scam. When it's this easy, and technically, then obviously they're not technically scamming, right? They're just investing in Bitcoin treasury companies in this instance. They're not. It's up to the market whether they want to buy these Bitcoin treasury companies or not. But obviously, there's a lot of people buying them at the moment purely for the pump.
Yeah.
Eventually, the pump's not going to happen, is it? And they're just going to get dumped on. And they're all going to get wrecked. Anyone long-term hodling these Bitcoin treasury companies, I think they're all just going to go over like dominoes. Once one goes down, they're all just going to go bang, 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 all down.
I mean, the only one that I'm thinking of whilst we're talking is MicroStrategy because there's an actual business behind it in terms of the MicroStrategy business. Obviously, the side hustle is the Bitcoin treasury as well. And it says that, yes, we do two things, Bitcoin treasury and MicroStrategy as a company, but Bitcoin treasury obviously far outweighs the MicroStrategy. But
Factor of probably 1,000 at this point.
yeah, something ridiculous. Yeah,
that business isn't really meaningful.
not at
You
all.
should separate it out really and just go,
Yeah,
there's my software business, this is the Bitcoin treasury business, because it makes a mockery of that. Like that business does make hundreds of millions a year, but it
yeah,
doesn't even move the needle slightly. They could have the best sales year of their lives.
yeah,
It wouldn't move the share price a single penny, because if Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin's doing, moves that share price.
yeah. And it's obviously drawn everybody towards the business too. So,
Yeah, it's so yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Like I said, I think this is when we get to.
You were quite confident, by the way, before we started and hit record. You said a couple of times that you think this is the year for Bitcoin. Why do you say that?
Yeah. So I still think, I think we could have a fantastic next 6 months. Partly, these treasury companies, right? They're just getting going. They're still buying shit tons of coins. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing, but they're going to buy loads. And yeah, I just think we've got a lot of pent-up demand. Inflation's going crazy. America's going crazy. Trump's just signed off what is it? What do you call it? The big beautiful bill or something? The 3 Bs, not the 4 Bs, the 3 Bs, big beautiful bill. And that's got 9 trillion of spending in it or something fucking nuts. So yeah, the market is going to get flooded with money, and there's wars going all over the place. And and we're at this point of the cycle, dude. This is like from between July and November of every 4 years, Bitcoin goes crazy. So I'm fully expecting over the next 6 months Bitcoin to go nuts and hit into hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Yeah, with a lot of people targeting 1 million.
Just to go back to our friend Trump as well, is the fact that he issued a letter to Powell. One, I've seen somewhere, it was on Twitter, that he's getting rid of Powell by 2026. And then the fact that he wants ultra low interest rates back to 1% again to allow the money printer to go.
Yeah, because that obviously, as we've just learned, right, what happens at interest rates that low, it basically means debt is nearly free.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to go out, remortgage their home, get out huge loans and start buying cars, holidays, house improvements, the whole shebang. Basically, for every 10 grand you loan, you pretty much just pay back the 10 grand.
Correct.
But as we have just learned, all these 10 grand loans that everyone's getting, that's money printing. So yes, you and it's causing inflation. So whilst everybody in the moment feels like they're rich, I'll finally go and get my extension and get that new car, we can go on that Disneyland trip, because we don't have the money, but we can loan it and then pay it back over the next 5 years. And we're not getting screwed over by paying 7, 8, 9, 10% interest. It's 1%. So, but indirectly, what they have directly contributed to is inflation that's going to come back and hurt themselves. So as they pay off that loan and interest rates will inevitably go back up, they have now just increased the monetary supply by however many more percent. So now suddenly when they come back and they're paying off their debt, their grocery bill has gone up, their mortgage has gone up, their electricity bill has gone up, everything's gone up other than their salary. Their salary probably has stayed stagnant. And they're like, oh, we're poorer now. How's this happened? But we've had an extension. We went to Disneyland last year.
I was just about to say, but the tan's faded. The Disney World pictures have started to crease, and the extension, we need some extra things in there to make it look shiny again.
It's what every politician does, right? They start off wanting to fix the country and get it working like a business with a profit and loss, sensible spending, sustainable for hundreds of years. But then they start that, and I think Trump has probably been the quickest to jump off that ship so freaking fast. I think it took him 100 days, didn't it? He did 100
Yeah.
days of let's try and cut government spending properly.
Yeah.
And then he got a load of backlash, like, oh, there's all these programs are doing X, Y, Z, like there's kids dying that are now going to like not be helped and blah, blah, blah. He had a couple of scare stories. I think public opinion was starting to turn against him. He went, you know what? All your holidays and extensions and all that, you can all have it. We'll print 9 trillion. We'll put interest rates down to virtually zero. Everyone go fucking nuts. And obviously he's only in for 4 years, isn't he? So
Yeah.
he'll be remembered as the guy that gave everyone a Disney holiday, gave everyone the extension got done. Everyone was happy because the
Yeah.
poor fuckers that are coming in next might need to fix it now instead, because he's clearly gone, I ain't fixing this. Gonna take way more than 4 years to fix. No point even trying. Let's just have a good time.
It's unfixable. It's unfixable, and it is what every politician does. And equally, it's to win the hearts and minds for the midterms as they come along to continue for the 4 years. Yeah. Right.
Anyway, the next
Let's-
is
Yeah.
interesting one. Very much back in Bitcoin space, away from politics. Thank God. So this started off as a post down here on Bitcoin Talk back in May. So basically, this is these Cassius coins. Essentially, they used to give them these out at conferences with like one Bitcoin. You talk about the free gifts that Coinbase used to give away. You used to get 1 Bitcoin for signing up to Coinbase. It's worth $10 at the time. And yeah, so you have these coins that essentially have a scratchable mark on the back that has the private key on the back. And this one was bought for $500 back in 2012 for $500. And this guy, I reckon he lost it or something, and he's just found it, and it's got $10 million on it now. Oh, so yeah, 100 Bitcoin worth 10 mil. And they don't need a lot of Bitcoin to have 10 mil these days. And so he redeemed it. And
It's crazy to think though, $500 for 10 mil. Like obviously it's 13 years ago, back in 2012, but you took a punt and say, yeah, $500, I'll take that and hold it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Mind-blowing.
You go to conferences sometimes, like you're tempted to buy like a piece of art or something for $500. Or if you're there, some artist will be there. He took a punt on this and forgot about it for 13 years and 10 mil. However, what he did do when he posted this coin, people wanted to see the back. And what this has on it is the private key. So obviously you don't have 24 words in this land because 24 words wasn't even invented back in 2012.
Yeah.
So this is the actual private key. The 24 words represent these set of characters. Now, what he forgot about is there wasn't just Bitcoin on this Cassius coin, because obviously in 2017 there was a number of Bitcoin forks that happened as well. Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, Bitcoin Platinum,
Bitcoin Gold, wasn't there? Yeah.
Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Silver, Bitcoin whatever. And essentially, if you add all these random forks up, it comes up back to half a Bitcoin basically. There's half a Bitcoin worth of other shit coins. But the second he posted this private key, someone auto swept all the other coins off this address sent them to themselves, dumped them, and made half a Bitcoin. So made 50 grand, right? So he's probably not that bothered because he's got 100 million. He's got 100 Bitcoin, but he could have had another half. Could have had another half,
Yeah,
right? So by posting it, and obviously I would have been nervous. Like clearly he's already sold these 100 Bitcoin, right? So the 100 Bitcoin were already long gone. He didn't think there was any problem by revealing this private key, but he'd forgotten. Another 50 grand still sat on it that someone else now has.
yeah.
So the message being,
Don't.
never share a private key, even if you think that wallet's now empty.
Yeah.
Because you just never know. You might use it again in the future or something, mightn't you? You just never know. There might be a point where he goes, you know what, it'd be quite nice. Maybe I'll scratch off the 2 zeros, just leave it with 1 Bitcoin. I'll put it back, and maybe I'll gift it to someone else. It'd be a nice little gift. And I'll use the same private key. I'll just stick the sticker back down.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, like you've put it on the internet now, and you might have forgotten, and that 1 Bitcoin is going to disappear faster than you know what hit you. So, yeah, never share private keys, especially for internet clout. Like nothing. To be honest, even if you found this coin, don't post the fact you just found 100 Bitcoin. You've just made yourself a massive freaking target.
There's never any good that ever comes from it, is there? You think of all the Bitcoin clout stories that come about, they all end up like this. It's just easier to just be anonymous.
There's
Again, goes back to the beauty of Satoshi.
You've got freaking 10 million quid now. Like, go freaking figure out what you want to do with it. Don't post it on Reddit or Twitter.
Yeah,
just
to randoms that you don't know, for random virtual likes that mean nothing.
Yeah, you probably got a couple of thousand likes on a Reddit post or some Twitter posts, but lost 50 grand.
Yeah,
because even if you just described it, like it's still dangerous. But I'd forgotten about the forks when people were going, "Oh, he's lost a load of money." I'm like, "How?" Like, all the Bitcoin was off it, and then you suddenly remember the forks. I'm like, "Oh yeah, God, the forks are still worth something." Because it's back in the day, I remember getting a nice. Basically, I treated it like a dividend. It was a 10% dividend on my Bitcoin. So if he'd have weirdly, if he'd have found these coins or this Cashier's coin back in 2017, he'd have technically made 10 Bitcoin worth of his 100. So he'd have 110 Bitcoin. But the price of Bitcoin back then was about $20,000, not 105. So what's that? It's a 5x, isn't it? So instead of having 10 million, you've had 2 million. But so the shit coins at the time would have been worth about 200 grand, not 50. But Bitcoin's gone the other way. So the perfect time to sell the shit coins would have been 5 years ago. Perfect time to sell Bitcoin. Well, if you're going to sell this Bitcoin, sell it now. Pretty much at all-time highs.
Yeah.
I hope he didn't sell it all, though. If that was always Bitcoin, he found this random coin, found 100 Bitcoin. I really hope he sent it somewhere safe, sells a piece, sorts his life out. But yeah, 100 Bitcoin, man, that should last. But that's generational wealth right there. It won't be though if you sell it for 10 million fiat dollars, and now straight away half it goes to tax man. Now you've only got 5 million. You buy yourself a house, a few cars, spend another couple of million over your life. You've got 1 million left to give to kids. That's gone. Now it's over now, isn't it? That generation
over.
Happen. Leave it in Bitcoin, man. That's going to go.
I've got the feeling when he's cashed out fully. There is no, I think he, cashed out, not held anything back, not hodled anything, just all or nothing.
Sell times. Because you at least keep one. Jesus, you just sold 99. You got 99 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Silly.
Painful.
But it just shows you that I swear, like so many people hodl by accident, and I wish I was around in fucking 2012, just knocking around Bitcoin conferences, just buying at random shit, throwing it in a drawer, and then just forgetting about it, and then just stumbling across a drawer that had 10 mil in it. Like, oh my word, what a day!
There's a little bit more loose change in the old trousers, isn't there? It's like, oh, I remember this.
Just got
I don't
random
know.
little crappy name tags and with old job titles and the odd pen and stress ball or something. That's
Yeah.
other things I've got from freaking 13 years ago, not freaking 10 mil of Bitcoin. Oh well.
Well, last story for this evening is, let's pull that up. There we go. Bitcoiners being annoying, since 2009. So everything we say is obviously related to Bitcoin, and it just fixes everything in our minds and in our world and in the way that we're wired. So we'll play the clip. It's only 30 seconds roughly.
Bitcoin fixes this.
I said my cat died.
We should start teaching him cold storage.
He's not even born yet. We're gonna have to sell the house.
Totally fine. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin.
If you say that one more time, I'm gonna lose my...
Johnny told me he doesn't want to be with me anymore. Just stay humble and stack sats.
What?
Bitcoiners. Annoying since 2009, but still right.
But it's just so funny.
Yeah. It's well done, isn't it? It's another
Really well done.
It's another good use of AI. Just getting some good old Bitcoin phrases in there.
Yeah.
And
One
having people
Bitcoin still
seemingly
equals 1 Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's just yeah, no matter what you say, like it's just looking at a Bitcoin meme line coming back. And and I think it does have a good point, right? Bitcoin is being annoying since 2009, but still right. That's the thing, right? When we're only annoying because everyone thinks we're fucking wrong. They're like, oh, all the kind of things we say, they do get memed, and I guess that they do just sound too good to be true. And I mean, that's why we get dismissed. It's like as if you've honestly figured it out, as if you've actually figured out what's wrong with the world is money, and the best form of money is this Bitcoin thing.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people that do think there's something wrong with the world don't find the solution that we find. It's always something else. It's like, no, we just need to vote in this type of government.
It's too easy, basically, isn't it?
Or it's, Black Lives Matter, or it's feminism, or it's whatever, like religion, or whatever. There's different solutions to this broken world, and we're just sat here going, yeah, you're all wrong. We just fix money and you fix the world. It honestly is that simple. And yes, we are financially incentivized to be saying this now, because we clearly bought Bitcoin way before you have, because I'm talking to you now and you're still saying no, so I'm pretty sure you don't have any. And clearly we've had it for a while, but we're just going to continue to be right. And we're going to keep saying these memes to you, and you're just going to continue to be wrong and find us annoying until you become one of us. And now you can be annoying and right too. Have fun staying poor.
Have fun staying poor. That's a great way to end it, for sure. We still have this dilemma, of course, of orange pilling new people. So I know you did it with the brother-in-law, and hopefully once again he's watching and listening. But it's these types of clips that again we just have to kind of sprinkle amongst our friends and loved ones to remind them, hey, we're right. Jump on board.
Absolutely. And also, we know we're annoying.
Yeah, of course.
The people that are right come across as annoying because we're just confidently right.
Yeah. But again, I remember we've said it many a time, but there was a time when everything we used to say to you was the response was just buy Bitcoin. To the point where I was just like, okay, I'm not doing it. So then there's that resistance, isn't there, of like, oh no, I'm not doing it because that's all he ever says. Until we finally swallow the pill and be like, okay, great. He was right again. I'm going to just have to buy
He's annoying, but he is right.
He is right. Yeah, yeah. So I've been there. I know it. He's right. Right, well, there we have it. Another episode of The 4Bs brought to you by Mr. Orlin, aka the $1 Trillion Man, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, Dr. Evil 10%, aka Sick Note, and Mrs. No Show, aka No Show. Peace.
Cheers, fella.